Welcome to Bike World, welcome to Modena. I'm about to show you a bike that's going to blow your socks off. This is a genuine world exclusive. I'm one of 2 or 3 people in the world that get to ride this bike. This is going to be impressive. This is the very exclusive Ducati Multistrada RS. Now Ducati Multistrada, they already have the Pikes Peak. Now to many, that was the limitation of what the Multistrada should be, because they made a sporty, racy version of the Pikes Peak. But instead, Ducati have gone one step forward. This is the RS. You've got to think of the Multistrada RS as a Ducati Street Fighter SP or a Panigale SP. This is the ultimate Multistrada. But what makes this very unique and very different is that it doesn't run the same engine as the V4S Multistrada. So all the Multistrada range in the V4S have the same engine. This runs the Desmo engine from the Street Fighter. So that means we've got more power, more revs, and more fun. So the standard bike revs out at 10,750, 170 horsepower. This will rev on to 12,250, and it's 180 horsepower. And then once you put the full exhaust on, which we have, is 192 horsepower. Let me just say that again for you just a little bit confused by that. As 192 horsepower on a bike that sports touring. So we've still got blind spot detection, adaptive radar, really comfortable pillion seat, grab handles and luggage, but 192 horsepower. I just love the fact that someone in Ducati went, this is going to be a great idea. I mean, it's just awesome.
Chad, we've been riding this Multistrada V4 RS here today. You've been riding this RS, the faster one.
Yeah.
Faster than this one. What's it actually like to ride on track?
It's really kind of bizarre and strange because when you ride a Multistrada, you expect it to be a Multistrada, but what they've done is put the Street Fighter engine in it. So it's no longer the spring valved engine, it's the Desmo engine. So it revs to 12.5, 13,000. So when you leave pit lane, you're kind of like Multistrada with a 17-inch front wheel. So you're kind of like Pikes Peak, because all the Multistradas run a Multistrada engine. And then you go, and it goes, and you go, quick shifter, whoa, whoa, and it's just like a comfy Street Fighter. So the bike that we had was over 190 horsepower because we had the full pipe on it. So it's 190 horsepower that just goes, accelerates and revs, but you're in a comfy kind of chassis.
Yeah.
So it's like a really, it almost feels faster, because you're doing something that you shouldn't be, you know, when you're on a super bike and you're in race hours, you go, well, I'm on a super bike. Or when you're on a Street Fighter, you're ready for it. But when you're sat on a comfy Multistrada and it rips your arms out.
I've ridden, you and I have both ridden a lot of these adventure bikes, and we've ridden them in a completely abnormal way a lot of times. Like on race tracks, riding them as hard as possible on their limits. And they all get to the point, you go along on the road and you go, flipping heck, this is really fast, you don't need anything quicker. And then you put them in that track environment and suddenly the pegs are a bit low. Even the most extreme adventure bike, it's a bit soft, it's heavy, and you feel that weight in the turns. Like, where does that RS fit in that? Because it's still a big bike.
At the moment, as we stand, for me, this is the fastest cutting edge touring bike, because you can still get panniers for it. Yeah. It's still got adaptive cruise control, still got blind spot detection when you come down pit lane. So it's still got everything that makes a Multistrada comfortable, but because it's got the Pikes Peak kind of suspension with a 17-inch front wheel, and it's got all that power and it's got less weight, so the subframe is all titanium. They had one in the garage and they were like, oh, this is the titanium subframe. First time on the Ducati, I nearly threw it through the roof. You know, it's just like, but it's just exotica. And you've got engine brake control management, so you can change the engine braking, which you can't do on a Multistrada.
No.
So all the advanced rider aids from the Street Fighter and the Panigale you've got, and then you've got all the radar detection panniers of the Multistrada you've got. And then when you're on track, you could, I don't think it'd be a million miles behind a Street Fighter.
So are we at 80, 90, 95%?
I would say between 80 and 90% off a Street Fighter. But because you've got the wide bars and a quite relaxed riding position, I think for some riders it'd be even closer.
You'd be easier to get the speed out of it.
Yeah, you've ridden a Street Fighter and they're over 200 horsepower and you've got to be like on the edge, haven't you?
Yeah.
A Panigale is easier to ride than it ever was, but you've still got to be, you know, sticking your elbows out, yeah, moving your body. Where this, you kind of just go, and you're like, this is epic. And you've still got an urban mode, so you can still restrict the power and ride it, you know, to the shops and back. But then you can take it on track. And as you rightly said, the amount of times we've gone, oh, you could take your adventure bike in the fast group. You could, but you're going to get your hat nailed on.
Yeah.
Where this,
it's
over 190 horsepower, which is what GSX-R1000s and ZX-10s had a few years ago. So you can pull up, literally take your panniers off, put your tyre warmers on, go out on track, and you're not going to be able to just be in the fast group. You're going to be at the front of the fast group.
Yeah, as fast as you would normally be going on whatever other bike.
Yeah, and after 6 or 7 sessions, I don't think it's going to be as physical because it's got brilliant stability, great brakes, you've got lean sensitive traction control, lean sensitive ABS, you've got all the rider aids that keeps a Panigale and a Street Fighter on track, and all the comfort when you ride home of a Multistrada.
You know what I'm looking forward to, Chad?
What?
M1000 XR versus Multi RS.
Well, that's why I chose my words carefully, because at the moment,
yeah,
the RS is the fastest bike you can buy that you could tour on.
Yeah.
Kawasaki have got the supercharged SX.
Yeah.
But that's another...
It's a different thing though, isn't it? That's
30,
not
40,
a sports
yeah,
bike.
you're not going to take it on
thing.
track. It's got a lot of weight, but it is 200 horsepower. But this is lightweight. You know, it's they haven't given us an exact weight yet, but I'm guessing it's around 205, 208 kilograms.
You didn't know what you were riding when you went out to check this thing out, did you? Ducati just gave you a weird kind of mystery guest invite.
Yeah, literally it was like, bring a set of leathers, an helmet, come to the racetrack, and we've got something for you. And I was like, you know, you don't know what it's going to be. And I was the first person outside of Ducati to ride it. And I believe there's only 2 or 3 people who don't work at Ducati who've ridden it. It was yeah, it was that. They were just kind of finishing the bike, shooting the catalogue. They were like, come along. And then when I went in the garage, everything was under covers. And I could see the leads going for the tyre warmers. And obviously I'm on a track with a race bike. But then when you see it under a cover, I'm like,
it's not the right shape.
well, I didn't know if they were like trying to throw me a curveball, like, you know, like when you wrap your wife's Christmas present up in a massive box and it's actually just a Kinder Surprise. So I did, you know, because it was so, because the one that they had panniers on it and everything. So I was like, what is that? And then when they pulled it back, it looks beautiful. I mean, the attention to detail, it just looks stunning. It does look stunning. And then you're like, and then you go, oh, it's a Multistrada, and they go, yeah, but have a look a bit closer, and you're like, that's got a Street Fighter engine in it. But yeah, it was a bizarre, unique experience, one that I'll not forget. And what was slightly amusing was the track, it was getting dark because we was riding until 6:30, 7, and they were like, oh, just go do a few laps. So at one stage I had the lights on and the cornering light had just stayed out. So they were all packing away, and I was like, rah, rah, rah. So like even on the footage you'll see, it's like, it is practically dark and I'm still just going around with a clear visor. It's just a little bit expensive.